Hey everyone, it's Chad from Colorado Giants. Today here in Colorado, it is February 3rd. Who knows what day it'll be when I upload this video. But today we're going to talk about, got a little cheat sheet, we're going to talk about pumpkin growing 101. If you're one of the brand new people here, I'm going to give you a general overview on what you need to know, just the basics, to grow pumpkin. So, let's do it. Okay, so it is pretty darn chilly outside, and just got home from work a little early, and I wanted to do a quick video as I haven't done one. Let me show you guys what's going on out here. A whole lot of nonsense is what's going on. We had maybe, I don't know, maybe a foot of snow here in Parker, and I couldn't get the door open, so I had to roll up the old roll-up door to get in here. So needless to say, it's cold. I think last night it was negative 17 or something. We were colder than Alaska. Tonight it'll be in the negatives, but whatever. On the seeds front, I sent a lot of seeds out like 2 weeks ago before we went to California. So I sent a lot of seeds out. If you get a memo from the postman that says postage due, it might be your seeds. I added a lot of postage to seed bubbles that I thought might be lacking a little bit, so I added a lot of postage, but I'm just not positive that I got it right. So what I did do is I also changed. Let me get this little hoot-nanny hook thing I got. Okay, in the back. What I did do is I added your return address. So if somebody's watching this and they're sending a seed bubble, don't put my address as your return address. If something happens, it goes back to you. I don't want it to come to me, so it needs to go back to you. For example, if you didn't put enough postage on there and I didn't add enough, we want it to go to you. So you can go to the post office, pay the postage, and get your seeds. So Emily was helping me with a little cheat sheet the other day. So again, this is just going to be a quick and dirty kind of pumpkin 101. How to grow a giant pumpkin. It starts with the seed type. You can go crazy with the seeds. You can spend hundreds of dollars on seeds, or you can send an envelope to me and I will send you seeds for free. Put in a good note or whatever you want. We'll send them to you. I want more people to grow giant pumpkins. It's a lot of fun. Speaking of seeds, today is February 5th. I'm uploading the video right now. Tonight at 6 o'clock, go to bigpumpkins.com, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Do whatever math for what that equates to in your time zone. But tonight, 6 o'clock, bigpumpkins.com, the Rocky Mountain Giant Vegetable Growers, the Colorado Pumpkin Club is having our seed auction tonight. I would love to see you in there. Bid with careless disregard to your budget and get some good seeds. Hopefully we'll see you there. So it starts with the seed. Make sure it's a Dill's Atlantic Giant seed. That is the one that will get you big pumpkins. Most modern day, good seeds have tons of genetic potential. So if you don't want to get wild with spending lots of money on seeds, just look at the genetics. Go to pumpkinfanatic.com. It's in the tools section. And then you can see like the family tree for all of your pumpkin seeds. There's so many good ones. I start my pumpkin seeds at the end of March, beginning of April, because I have obviously a greenhouse. I can start a little earlier than most. The biggest thing when it comes to starting your seeds inside is that they grow fast. So, you'll have probably less than a month to get them into your pumpkin patch. If you've been with us for a while, watch videos of years past, you'll see I'll even put a hot hut. I'll put a mini greenhouse inside of the greenhouse because none of this is heated and this is too much to heat. But I'll set up like maybe an 8-foot by 12-foot PVC structure that I can put a small heater in, and I can keep that warm at night to keep the seedlings happy. You want to get your seedling in the pumpkin patch as soon as possible. but you don't want to do that if it's too cold. It's a risk versus reward. You want it out here as soon as possible to get the roots growing and to get the plant established where it's going to grow. But you don't want to put it out here if it's dangerous to do so. If it's too cold, all of those things. So you have to be aware of your pumpkin patch's situation before you put it in there. You want the soil to be warm. You want the plant to be able to stay warm. You want it to thrive so you can get ahead of your game. And yeah, so start it inside, put it outside as soon as possible. But you really don't want it inside more than a month. It's just the plant's going to be too big. It's going to be too hard to transplant, and you'll have some root binding issues. And then also on that note, when you're planting your plant, where do you plant it in the pumpkin patch? Most people grow with like a Christmas tree pattern. If you have your main vine, so we'll say like this purling, this is the main vine, and then you have your secondary vines, which are the runners, or the purlings rather. And then as it grows, the older ones are going to be longer. It looks like a Christmas tree or a pyramid. That's the main one. I'm going to grow a few, maybe one this year, like Mike Schmidt does. He calls it the spider. I think that's a cool way to grow a plant. Put your pumpkin at the end of the main vine. But, you have to know how you're going to grow your plant. So, I don't want to put a plant right there where that PVC cap is and then have it grow that way. It's not an efficient use of my space. With the greenhouse oriented the way it is, I start them, along the side. If I can get my pointing right, I start them on the side, like underneath that shade cloth, and I run them out so that it fills in the space efficiently. Maybe I might even start one in the middle this year and have it go a direction and have longer secondary vines. Maybe I'll have a plant that's like 1,000 square foot or so. Well, with only 3, they'll be bigger. But anyway, hopefully, you're picking up what I'm throwing down. You just need to have an idea of how you want to grow your plant, because in a month, when your plant is huge, it's too late. You can't change it then. So you need to know what you want to do ahead of time. And then also you need to be aware, going back to the hot hut, that it can get too hot. Like, it's probably single digits outside, but it's actually pretty nice in here. It's getting colder now that I open the door, but it's much more pleasant in here. If you have a small hot hut, it'll get hot in there fast. You don't want it to be more than 90 degrees. So sometimes if you go to work in the morning like I do, you just have to, roll it up a little bit, make sure that it's not going to get too hot, and just accept that it'll be a little bit too chilly, and it'll grow a little slower rather than too hot, which will roast the plant. All right, let's see here on the old cheat sheet. Fertilizing and watering. You want your soil to always be kind of moist. You don't want it to be dry. You don't want it to be too wet. That's one of the common questions is, Chad, how much water do I use? I can't tell you that, because the dirt in my greenhouse is going to be different than the dirt wherever you are growing. You might have a lot of clay. You might have a lot of sand. All of those factors go into, determining how much water you put down on your pumpkin patch. The best way to do it is dig a little hole, stick your finger in there. Is it moist? Is it wet? Is it, if you grab a handful, are you going to wring out water? That's too much. Is it nice and just uniformly moist? That's about perfect. And you definitely don't want it dry. When you put your pumpkin plant in the ground, one of the tips is to water around the perimeter of the plant. Encourage those roots to go forth and be bigger and bring in more water. So don't just water on the plant. Water your plant, but also around the perimeter, because again, you want to encourage root growth to make the plant bigger. And then fertilizing, especially in the beginning, don't feed, like a porterhouse steak to a baby. Feed it a little bit, and then a little bit more. And then maybe after a week, you can give it quarter strength fertilizer. And then after 2 weeks, you can give it like half strength, and then so on and so forth. Work your way up to feedings when it comes to fertilizing. Slower is better. You can always add more. Don't be a moron, as Mark Clements likes to say. A little bit more is not necessarily a good thing. That could be a bad thing. How do pumpkins get so big? One pumpkin per plant. It's the seed and one pumpkin per plant. You don't have to grow you don't need a greenhouse to grow big pumpkins. You know, if you watched our first year, we've always had some sort of shade structure, but I mean, I grew 1,000-pound pumpkins in about 250 square feet. So you don't need tons of space to grow a giant. You know, the rule of thumb is, you know, 5 to 800 is good. 800 to 1,000 is better. So square feet, that is. So if you want to get wild with it, you know, you can dedicate as much space as you want to, but you don't have to have a greenhouse and thousands of square feet per plant to get a really big pumpkin. You could have a big raised garden bed and still grow a 5, 6, 700-pound pumpkin relatively easy. Let's see here. Water every day. I already said that. Make sure your soil's moist. Maybe don't water every day. Again, I don't know. Just depends on your thing. Ideal pollination time. So when you stop growing plant and you start growing pumpkin, if you want to be, you know, running with the big dogs, you want to be in the middle of June, no later than the start of July. Some people are even starting to pollinate, you know, kind of the first week-ish of June. Like, I think that might be a little too early, but it depends on when your way-offs are. So if you go, you know, you have a way-off in mind, rewind 100 days from that, 110 days from that, that should be where you want to pollinate your plant. Typically, with way-offs in September and October, that is June and July-ish. If you want a 500-pound pumpkin, you can pollinate at the end of July. You can pollinate in August, and you can get a really big pumpkin that would look sweet on your front porch. If you want to win, you're looking at middle of June, start of July. So, just depends. Moving right along. Again, once you start growing your pumpkin, you want to stop growing your plant. So you want your plant, like I want my plant by the time I pollinate to be basically 3/4 of the size of what it's going to be, the space that I've allotted for it. And then the first 20 days or so, you'll still get some plant growth, but by the end of that, you're basically done growing plant and all of the juice is going to the pumpkin. So no more energy going into plant growth. And that's kind of all I got. Don't push too hard. Don't push your plant too hard. You can break your pumpkin. That would stink. And you know, just preparations. So when you have a fruit growing, when you start a pumpkin, in that time frame, you want to pollinate it, or you let the bees do the pollination, up to you. You know, you got to know that that pumpkin is going to get to be really, really big. So you have to prep your vine to lift up to hit the pumpkin. If you were watching last year, you know, we had that weird vine, and when I was cranking them back, I split the vine off of the stem on a beanbag. So you don't want to do that, and you have to make preparations for that 2 months in advance, 30 days in advance. So you have to have some forethought in what you're going to do, because it's impossible to move them at sometimes you just can't do it. And then you also have to have a plan on how you're going to move it when it's all done. Maybe next week I'll have a new video out on our new plan, or you can make like a tripod like I do and I have in the past. Get some friends come over, you know, whatever. You just kind of have to have a plan, like, hey buddy, if I grow a 500-pound pumpkin, you know, eat your Wheaties, come over, we'll buy some beer and pizza, and we're going to lift some pumpkins. So you just got to have some plans in place, because even logistically speaking, they're kind of a pain to deal with at times. I'm almost done with my preparations in here. I got to till. I got to take out this last batch of vines, but other than that, I'm about ready to kind of kick pumpkin prep into high gear as soon as we get some warmer weather. I'm a wimp when it comes to the cold. I'm from Las Vegas, if you don't know. So that white stuff is fairly foreign to me, and I'm not a huge fan of the cold. Simple as that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We'll do some more specific videos on kind of those subsets of what we went through as we get closer. But this is just a pumpkin 101. If you have questions, post below rather. I'm starting to get a little more active on the YouTube, so I'll get to your questions and comments faster as I see the finish line. Because shoot, we got what, 7 or 8 weeks, and then we've got to start to think about starting seeds. So it's not too far off. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. See you next time.